Sam Cooke was a musician during the 1950s. Not many would consider him to have been an activist, though, but subtly he really was. Sam Cooke had connections that not many others had, like his friendship with Malcolm X and Cassius Clay, or better known as Muhammad Ali. He also had songs which had incredibly deep and sometimes hidden meanings that made changes in this world and probably changed the opinions of so many. He is considered to be the father of modern soul by the music industry. His songs had the ability to relate to both black and white people, which no other artist, other than Bob Dylan, had been able to do at the time, which is probably a large part of why Sam Cooke was such a popular artist. He branched out to everyone and could reach everyone's soul, which gave him double the audience. Sam Cooke would not have been able to achieve any of this, though, without his humble beginnings. On January 22, 1931, in Clarksdale, Mississippi, Sam Cooke was born to Anne May Cooke and his father, Baptist minister Charles Cooke, who wanted better for their family. So they went north and moved to Chicago. They ran a church, and Sam Cooke sang in the choir, which eventually grabbed the attention of the group the Soul Stirrers, and he officially joined them at the age of 19. But that didn't last very long, because he went solo in 1957, becoming an overnight sensation, rating at the top of the charts, coming second only to Elvis Presley, with his songs You Send Me, A Change Is Gonna Come, and so many others. Sam Cooke then began to tour and went south, and sadly on one of the tours he had to see the aftermath of the murder of Emmett Till, and it truly opened his eyes to what was happening in the South. Sam Cooke then began refusing to play at venues where there was segregation. For example, on May 12th of 1961 in Elias Auditorium, because the audience would not become integrated, he canceled the show 2 hours before it was to start, making many angry. He had friendships with Malcolm X and Muhammad Ali, which really made him open his eyes more and more, and also made him just see what he needed to do and see the power he had. He then also began growing out his fro, which is an iconic part of who Sam Cooke was as an artist. And because he was such a businessman and very, very smart and logical, he started Star Records, which gave black artists a voice. And according to The Two Killings of Sam Cooke, which is a documentary, a friend of his said that Sam Cooke was going to make the artist just as important as the owner. And because he had his own label and was becoming so popular, he was then able to start singing politically charged songs. Sadly, though, this wouldn't last very long, because on December 11th of 1964, Sam Cooke was murdered. The police were dispatched to Hacienda Motel, according to History.com. It's really weird because he was murdered, and yet it was ruled a justifiable homicide. The story goes that Sam Cooke walked into a motel with a woman. Then she ran out of the room to the hotel manager and accused Sam Cooke of attempting to rape her. So the hotel manager then shot Sam Cooke 3 times. But this isn't accurate, because when the autopsy report was released, it was said that he was indeed shot 3 times in the chest, but he was also found in a state of near decapitation, and his hands were smashed. But it was still ruled a justifiable homicide. Many believe that Cooke's murder was a way to try to cover the legacy of such a young, successful, and powerful black man. But this wouldn't work, because when people found out of Sam Cooke's murder, they took to the streets of LA and Chicago and very vocally mourned the loss of Sam Cooke. Sadly, Sam Cooke's legacy was almost tampered with and was almost left in the dust. But thankfully, because people are keeping his legacy alive and keeping his music alive, he's still making changes in this world, which are so needed. I know I will forever be thankful for Sam Cooke's music. I've listened to it since I was young, and it's been so influential, and I'm so incredibly thankful for it. And hopefully, His legacy will live on.